and welcome back to the Tea and Soju podcast, a drama trio edition where three friends chat Asian dramas and let you into that chatter. I'm your host, Liliana.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Caitlin.
And in today's episode, the drama trio is sitting down to review Love Like the Galaxy. But before we get into that, some housekeeping. If you like the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe on the platform you listen on. That really helps the podcast reach other listeners. For more content, check out Patreon, where you can find behind the scenes, first impressions, mini reviews, and more. Finally, if you would like to chat to me or find a community, check out Discord, Instagram, and other socials. The link is in the episode notes. So, guys, how have you been? How has life been treating you? See, Jess, I did not ask what you've been watching. I asked how you've been. Because Jess always does not like that question.
Because I'll just be like, oh, I watched what we're gonna review today. That's what I watched. I was watching that. You see, I'm here now after watching that. So it's always a really boring answer for me. But I also have been watching I'm Sorry I Love You from 2004. So a 21-year-old K-drama.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where are you watching that one? Is that on Viki?
Oh, that's on Viki. Yeah, that's on Viki.
Oh, is it? Oh, that is really good, actually.
Yeah, with Soju sub.
Mm-hmm. How are you finding it?
It is very, very interesting. I cannot wait to do the podcast on it. We're recording very soon for that, me and my guests. And I'll say it is of a time, of an era. And I thought it was going to take me a little bit of time to get back into it because it had been maybe 10 years since I had seen it originally. Yeah. And no, that hooked me immediately. The show hooked me immediately. And I was very intrigued by how things were playing out. And even though I didn't remember all the details, I was like, oh, right. Like, I think this happens next. Or like, oh, yeah, this person's bad. Or, I had like the broad strokes of it. And that really helped. I think it's hitting me a little better than it did the first time. It is a melodrama. But yeah, I'm chomping at the bit to talk about that one with my guest, who it's Lola from Lola Pops Off about K-dramas.
I love Lola.
Oh my God, we're gonna have so much fun.
So sweet. Yeah.
She's so sweet. We're gonna have so much fun talking about that oldie and Soju Sub and the girl from Search WWW, whose name escapes me right now. But yeah, so I was watching that earlier this week. And then of course I was binging Love Like the Galaxy. And when I say binge, I mean, I stayed up until 6:45 in the morning this morning, finished Love Like the Galaxy.
My goodness. So if you've listened to any drama trio review at this point, you should know this is what happens. So Caitlin hands her assignment in on time. She turns it in on time. She's a responsible one that watches an episode a day. She gets it done. Then I sit somewhere in the middle where sometimes I'm like ready, sometimes I'm binging to be ready. And then we have Jess. Jess rocks up with a cup of coffee and a prayer, and she goes for it.
I literally am working off an hour and a half sleep. I went to bed and the sun was already out. I lost my shit last night. I'll tell you. So I was watching basically on double time for like the last 20 or so episodes. I was really trying to hustle and I was skipping ahead on
rewatching. We'll have to point that out. You've seen this before.
Yeah, yes. All three of us. This is a rewatch for all three of us.
This is a rewatch for all three of us. So I wasn't being disrespectful to the show.
If you were double watching this on your first time, I would have smacked you.
Yeah. We would have been concerned, but no, it's a rewatch for all of us.
It's a rewatch. I had watched it 2 years ago and I did an episode on Tebak, but that's gone. That's all gone now. So I needed to rewatch and I wanted to rewatch. It was fairly easy to rewatch because it was so good of a show. And last night I was losing my shit because it was like maybe 5 something in the morning. I had like a few episodes left and I had my laptop propped up on a pillow and I was like kind of on my side, like watching. And there was some shadows playing underneath because I had like a lamp on. I had one shadow that was there for hours. I was there for hours. All of a sudden, I thought that shadow was a cockroach. And that was the low point. That was the low point where I was like, oh my God, I'm hallucinating that this freaking shadow underneath my laptop is a cockroach at 5 a.m. I literally was like, I'm going insane. I'm going insane.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you stay awake because I would have fallen asleep.
So the night before, this is all like a tangent to me, but anyway, I'll explain to you. So the night before, I was set to stay up late, maybe until like 2 a.m. and watch more episodes. Liliana, I got to like 10 p.m. and I couldn't keep my eyes open. I could not keep my eyes open. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to fight it. So I shut the laptop and I went to sleep and I didn't binge more of Love Like the Galaxy. So the night before the 1.5 hours of sleep, I got like 12 hours of sleep. So go figure. Go figure. I think that's what helped me.
Oh my God. I don't know how you do it because like me personally, I wake up very early during the week to go to work. So even when it comes to the weekend and I try to have like a lie-in of some sorts, it's like 7 a.m. and my body is like, no. It's time to get up. It's time to wake up. So it's like, it's really hard for me to like sleep further. So it gets to like 10 p.m., 11 p.m. at the weekend, and I'm like trying to fight to stay awake because like I just want to watch a couple more episodes. It's the weekend. Let me down.
I know. Some TV. Let me live.
But no, my body is like, no. So I don't know how you do it, but we have long established here that Jess is just the queen of binging in general. So
this was one of the worst binges I've done in a long time.
Pretty much.
If I've come on here and say I've binged, I've stayed up late, it's usually 3, 4, never 6:45.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
This is what happened when we turned on Zoom to chat. Jess was like, oh, guess what time I went to bed last night?
Yeah.
And I said, and I went for a very conservative, 4 a.m. or like, and she's like, no.
Nope.
And I was like, 5 a.m. And she's like, no, 6:45 a.m. And I was like, girl, that is
it's bad
because usually you say 4 a.m. and that's like usually where you sit about when you do one of those binges. So I was very confident about my guess.
You were so confident. You're like 4. I was like 4.
I was like confident about this.
Anyway, so that's me. Caitlin, how are you doing?
How are you? What have you been watching, Caitlin? How are you?
What's drowning. I'm drowning in dramas.
She says this, but then she posted that she started another drama.
I know. That's my problem. Is like I'm watching so many dramas and then I just start new ones. I've started 3 dramas this week.
Oh my gosh.
One I started because I have a new podcast episode. The other 2 I just started because I wanted to watch them. Yeah, and I haven't finished any of the ones I already am watching. So I'm currently now watching 11 dramas and like 3 anime.
That is a lot.
3 plus 3 anime.
That just feels like a lot.
Yeah.
That just feels like a lot.
It is. It is a lot. But granted, this is like, I haven't watched this this much all year. Like, this is the most I've ever watched all year. But yeah, so like for example, I'm watching Karma. It's only 6 episodes. I have watched the first 2.5. I don't know why. Yesterday I got really tired around 11 p.m.
You see,
and I was
sometimes.
I was watching Karma, and I'm like, I can't do it. I have to go to bed. So I went to bed, and it's early for me. I don't go to bed at 11.
They don't call you no sleep for dramas for nothing.
Yeah, Caitlin is this bizarre human being who is both a night owl and a morning person as well.
Yes.
I don't understand it. I never understand it.
I literally woke up like I used to be able to sleep in. I can't sleep anymore. I'm up at 7.
Me either.
And maybe I can turn over and go for another hour and a half, but I'm up at 9 at the latest every weekend. Which like in high school I would be sleeping until noon, but that's because I was going to bed at like 4 a.m. So I don't know. I have no idea.
I think for me, it's just when I'm in the UK. Because when I'm back home, to be fair, I do go back home, quote unquote, on holiday. It's never a holiday when you go back to like your own country, but regardless, like I'm awake until like 3, 4 a.m. and like I'm sleeping in until like 11 a.m.
I wonder, it's just the culture, I think.
Oh yeah. Life in Portugal is just everything's much later. So yeah, I think it's
Yeah. My body, I think, has just gotten to the point where like, oh, you've slept for 6 hours, you're good to go.
You're
so
done.
like,
yeah,
no matter, like this morning, I went to bed at like 11:30 last night. I woke up 6 hours after that. I didn't get out of bed. I turned over and like went back to bed a little bit, but like, I don't know. After 6 hours,
Jess is shaking her head. Jess is like, I need my 8 hours at least.
I'm in the season of life where I'm trying to be better about sleep, and then I come on here and preach the good word about binging a show all night long. But truthfully, I do need maybe 8 hours, 7 hours to function pretty well. And
I don't. I think I need a minimum of 3. I've done like 3 hours. Yeah. Like in high school, I regularly slept for 3 hours and then like went to school. Yeah. Cause I was like getting up at 6, going to school, doing sports, getting home at like 7 or 8 at night.
Especially not
doing homework until like 2 or 3 in the morning and then getting up again at 6. Absolutely that was like my regular routine in high school.
The glory of youth. My God.
Yeah. So
30-year-old me could never. No. Like 30-year-old me just could never.
My God, just put me in a coffin.
Yeah, I need like, I think during the week I get probably between 5 to 6 hours, like 6 hours during the week. Yeah, that's usually what I said about. Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm watching Karma. I don't think I think because usually I'm trying to finish Karma before. So in July, as I've explained on my podcast, and blog, I do like the first 6 months of like my favorite dramas that I've watched. And I usually the cutoff is June. So I'm trying to finish Karma before the end of June.
Oh, I see. So you could fit it in.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it because like this weekend is Pride Fest or the Pride Parade. And Monday nights, I'm always busy because I go to trivia every Monday night. And that's like the last day of June. So I do not think I'm going to be able to finish Karma. Because
why am I just hearing that you go to trivia every Monday night?
I do. Yeah.
That is
at a lesbian bar.
You have never said that before.
She has never. Trivia. She just casually dropped this in.
Casually, I go to trivia every Monday night. That's incredible. Okay,
that is incredible.
It's the funny thing too. So I went to this. We have multiple gay bars in Chicago, but we have a handful of lesbian bars. And this is specifically a sports bar, like a lesbian sports bar. And I went there to watch some of the Olympics last year or the year before. And I was at the bar and I got to talking to this girl and this guy at the bar because it was like in the middle of a Sunday. Like no one was really there. We were there to watch a soccer game. She was the one that invited me to this trivia group, which I found out later was just like a mosh podge of people that they have met at this bar. And they've kind of just like, we always like, we need a team, whatever. This girl who invited me to this trivia group,
she's the winner
to be there. No, has yet to be there when I'm there.
Oh, wow.
Like, I have not seen her again since seeing her at that soccer game.
That is
some people
wild.
Our name depends on the number of millennials and boomers who come. So, like, if it's like 3 millennials and 2 boomers, that's our name. Or if it's like 5 millennials, our name is 5 millennials. Because we have rotating people. We like a rotating like 11 people that come in and out depending on who's available.
That is hysterical.
I love this. I love this. Like I love it.
It sounds like a sitcom.
It does.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's like hilarious.
Run it through AI and see what happens.
Yeah. Give that to AI as a prompt.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
all right.
Yeah. So I'm watching Karma. I'm also watching The Prisoner of Beauty. And then speaking of Liliana, I started the Japanese version of Marry My Husband. That's
God,
because that premiered last night. So that's the other one I started yesterday that Liliana was referring to. Even though I have 9 other dramas I should have finished or watched or caught up on before that. So yeah, that's pretty much what
I watched the Chinese version of it, mini drama that they don't say it's a remake, but it's obviously a remake. God, it was just a wild ride.
The Japanese version so far, I've only watched the first episode. There's 2 available. I've only watched the first one. The Japanese seems like it might be a little more serious than the Korean one.
Not a self-serious J-drama.
I know, right? It's good so far. I liked the first episode, so I'm curious to see.
I guess my sarcasm is up. Sleep down. Sarcasm up.
Yeah. Get ready. I have just been watching. I started A Dream Within a Dream, which is the
Inception C-drama. I'm just kidding. It's not Inception.
Kind of.
So it's a lot heavier in comedy than I thought it was going to be. Like, so much heavier in comedy.
Interesting.
But it's like
because that promo trailer that I saw was really serious.
No, so I've actually seen a couple of those
trailers
scenes.
I've seen are comedy.
They're comedy. It's comedy.
The one that I saw was like very angsty looking.
So basically what happens is she is reading the script and they're acting out some of the scenes, and those do look a bit more serious. But in the background, as she's reading the script, she's like, girl, you've met him twice. What do you mean you're ready to give up your life for him? And she's like making all of these commentaries. There's a scene in episode 1 that is a one and only take from the end, and it's hilarious. There's a till the end of the moon little flashback. I'm like, this is hilarious.
The one scene I've seen in the trailer reminded me a lot of Love Like the Galaxy. There was that lantern scene in the trailer.
The fire scene.
Like, that's definitely Love Like the Galaxy.
Oh my God. Yeah. So it's just a lot, way more comedy heavy than I thought it was going to be. So much more comedy heavy. So yeah, I also want to start. I haven't started. It's going to be this weekend. I want to start The Princess's Gambit, which is like another Chinese historical drama. Yeah, I want to check that one out because that one apparently is way more serious. So it'll be good to watch it alongside A Dream Within a Dream. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think people weren't expecting it to be as comedy heavy, but I think the comedy, it's like satire comedy, so it works really well, I think. And Lee Yutong is just so good at this type of comedy. Like, she really works for it. So I'm enjoying it. Should we get into this, guys?
Let's do it.
Cheers and start this episode review. So let me read through the MDL synopsis. I only wrote down the MDL synopsis for part 1 because I was like, there's no point going in and like reading part 2 as well. So Ling Boyi, the foster son of Emperor Wen and a talented and ruthless general of the Black Armor Army, was on a personal mission to uncover hidden truths about the past, which had led to the massacre of an entire city and of his clan. When he met Chang Xiaoshang during a mission to apprehend a fugitive in a rural village. Oh my God, what is wrong with me today? The young
rural village is not an easy.
It's not an easy one to roll off the tongue, is it? The young Cheng Xiaoshang had been left behind because her parents had gone off to fight in the war. Neglected, and oh my God, I can't. What is happening today? Neglected and uneducated, she had been a thorn in her aunt's and grandmother's side until the unexpected return of her parents after many years on the front lines. Having lacked a loving family, Xiaoshang had been looking forward to being reunited with her parents, but the many years of separation inevitably led to some estrangement. Xiaoshang, however, is unfazed and determined to live for herself and her unruly and audacious nature. nature, and her quick wits begin to catch the attention of quite a few people in the capital, including Ling Boyi. Yeah, she has a few love interests in this show. Let's put it away. She definitely has. So this was filmed from the 26th of July 2021 to the 17th of December 2021. And
what? It was filming from July to December?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. From July to December. Part 1 is 27 episodes, and it aired from July 5th, 2022 to July 27th, 2022. And part 2 is 29 episodes. And this is peak because it aired from July 27, 2022 to August 18th, 2022. This was when C-dramas had to be 40 episodes or divided into 2 parts. But people found the loophole and they were just like, fine, we'll just call it part 1 and part 2 and air it back to back. So as you can see, part 1 ended on the July 27th and part 2 started on July 27th. So it is what it is. They did not get away with that for very long because that got nicked.
I think it was like a year. I think they did that for a year and then they were like, yeah, you can't do that anymore. Yeah,
not happening. We're not doing this. So this is a Dragon TV production, but it's also an iQIYI and Tencent video. So it's like a collab production. Episodes are 45 minutes. This is rated on MDL. Part 1 is rated an 8.9 and part 2 is rated a 9. On Douban, there is no part 1 or part 2. It's just Love Like the Galaxy, and it's rated a 7.7, which is actually not that bad. Like,
not bad.
For Douban, that's really not that bad. This won the Drama of the Year at the Weibo Night Awards in 2022. And this is available to watch in so many places. Like, it's available on WeTV, on Tencent, on Viki, on Idol and Romance, which is like a YouTube channel. It's available on iQIYI. It's available on MGTV. Like, it's available everywhere and anywhere. So, like, this is pretty much widely available. So, for director for this is Fei Zhan Xiang. He's been directing since 2015. And Caitlin probably knows him because he is the director for Candle in the Tomb series from 2019, 2020, and 2021. He's also directed Kunlun Tomb and She and Her Girls. Now, I have started She and Her Girls, and I'm so frustrated that to watch this thing, you have to watch it with a VPN because this drama would do so well abroad. It is such an interesting drama. But yeah, it's one of those that to watch, you can watch it on WeTV, but you have to like turn a VPN on because they never released it internationally. But yeah, have you guys watched anything from this director before?
No.
Technically, you did watch Love Like the Galaxy because this is a rewatch.
Yeah,
but
that's not fair.
No. I mean, I've seen most of, as you just said, any of his Candle in the Tomb stuff. I haven't seen every single Candle in the Tomb drama that he has done, but a lot of them, yes. So that's mostly where I know him from.
As for screenwriter, it's we have 2 screenwriters. We have Soju, who's been doing screenwriting since 2010, and they are the screenwriter for The Rise of Phoenixes, which we talked about. Exactly, Jess, just like
I love The Rise of Phoenixes.
So that is a 2018 drama, which was mentioned in our Hall of Fame historical dramas. It entered our historical Hall of Fame. So that is, and they've also done No Boundary, which is a xianxia drama, which I feel like nobody has ever heard of this drama. I've watched it. I really liked it. I know one person who has watched it with me.
I don't think you want to see how many dramas are on my watch list and my queue. But yeah, of course, it's on mine too.
Yeah, this is one of those where I think I watched it with somebody on Discord when it was airing, and her name's Marta, and I love Marta. And the two of us love this show, but I feel like we're the only two who've ever watched it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I really enjoyed No Boundary back in the day because it's different. It's kind of like she's a goddess, but he's just a human. So it's kind of like that sort of setup. It makes it a little bit different from like your typical xianxia drama. The other screenwriter is An Yi Mo, and she has only really got one credit, which is The Legend of White Snake, the 2019 version.
I don't think I like that one.
There is 2 versions though of The Legend of White Snake. This is not the one that I watched.
No.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, this is not the one that I watched. So actors, I only wrote down like the 2 main because otherwise I would be here. This is an extensive cast, okay? So our male lead is Wu Lei. Now, Wu Lei has been acting since 2006. The man is,
only 20 years.
Yeah, only 20 years. And he's a child actor. Now, if you want to know more
about... He's 25, if you
and he's 25.
That's...
Right, that was the second half of that, is that it's been 20 years. And he's still in his 20s, so...
He's still in his 20s.
Right, do the math.
Yeah. So if you want to know more about Wu Lei, there is episode 79 of the Tea and Soju is actually an episode on Wu Lei. But he's been in things such as Nirvana in Fire from 2015, Crossfire from 2020, The Long Ballad from 2021, Nothing But You from 2023, which we have a review on Daybuck. It's episode 87. And then
thank you, because I would not have been able to pull that.
I checked and wrote it down. I wouldn't have pulled that out of thin air, but I did check and wrote it down. Jess and I reviewed it over on Daybuck. So, and then we also have, he was also in A Midday Snowstorm of Love, which is a 2024 episode. And I reviewed that one with Becky on Tea and Soju, which is episode 72. I was looking, so guys, what do we think about Wu Lei? Because, to me, everybody knows that I like Wu Lei as an actor. So, it ain't nobody going to be shocked about that opinion. But what do you guys think of Wu Lei?
I think he's really great. He's really choosy, really talented actor. And I don't really have any bad things to say about him. It seems like he excels at playing the kind of character that Ling Buyi is, which is a rather stoic, hardened character with a lot of softness underneath. And he does a lot of micro expressions in this show, which were amazing. And that's not really how he is in real life. It seems like he's quite playful and childish on set, but he really gives off the aura of a general who's been working the field of death since he was a child. And so I don't understand how someone so young can have this battle-hardened exterior, especially when you see the behind the scenes from him for this and other shows. You're like, oh, he's
a clown.
Not like this at all.
Right.
Yeah. It's strange, but I think he's great.
I think for him specifically, I've always said, because he started so young and he's worked with such great, older actors in the industry. I mean, Nirvana in Fire is an exact, he was 16 when he did Nirvana in Fire. And he was acting alongside such, prominent actors, which I think has really helped him to learn the craft from really good older actors. So I think that really, really benefits. The fact that he owns his own company, so he can do whatever the heck he wants, really gives him such ability to choose how he runs his career. So I think he was just put on the path to act, and he's good at it, I think. So yeah. What about you, Caitlin?
I like him a lot. I haven't seen every single drama of his, obviously, because he has an extensive resume. And I will say I haven't seen a lot of his more recent ones, like Amidst a Snowstorm of Love or Nothing But You, which I think I would like Nothing But You. Mr. Snowstorm would not be for me.
Not your vibe.
So I want him to do another like Love Like the Galaxy role. I think he does. I do agree. I think he does excel in this type of role. I know he's rumored for Nirvana and Fire 3. It hasn't been confirmed, but he's rumored for the lead in that. Among other things, he just did a movie that I'm like really curious about because it's a historical, like about a real life event that happened during World War II, I want to say.
Oh Lord.
Ironically done by the same director of Love Like the Galaxy. So
there you go.
But yeah, I think he's just really, it's been fun because I've seen some of his older dramas where he's like a teenager, where he's the lead, but also some supporting roles. It's interesting to see him in those dramas and then Love Like the Galaxy and like just like how different he is. And like, yeah, so I do enjoy his acting as well.
I said this to Jess. I was rewatching Nothing But You, but also watching Nirvana and Fight. No, or was it Amidst a Snowstorm? It might have been Amidst a Snowstorm of Love. I was watching something from him airing. I can't remember which one. And I was watching Nirvana and Fire at the same time. And like my brain was like short circuiting because it's like it's a 16-year-old and it's like this, 20 yeah, and a man basically. And I'm like, I'm not sure, what's happening here. Yeah, it feels weird. It feels weird. But yeah. So female lead is the amazing Zhao Lusi. See, I am gonna have to check this because I say Lucy, but apparently it's supposed to be said Lucy, as in like that's how. Regardless, this is an aside.
I've heard it said like 20 different ways. I need to like watch a video of her introducing herself.
Yeah. So we have she's been acting since 2018, which is still, fairly recently. I think it's not, and she's been in things such as Oh My Emperor from 2018, I Hear You from 2019, The Romance of Tiger and Rose from 2020, which actually is covered on Tea and Soju. We did review this. It's episode 107, Dating in the Kitchen from 2020. You'll see a pattern because this was also reviewed on Tea and Soju. Is episode 74. And then obviously the biggest, I think one of her biggest roles internationally especially is Hidden Love, which is a 2023 drama, which we also covered on Tea and Soju, which got 2 episodes because that was the Becky and Laura review where I stayed up until 2 a.m. recording that thing with them, and it was just so incredibly long. Becky mentioned it feels like we did a work day because it was like 8 hours of just us recording. It was crazy. So yeah. So that is Hidden Love 2023. What do you guys think about Zhao Lusi? What is your experience?
I thought she was really good. Then she became great. So it's been several years, and I love that the dramas that she's picked up have really tested her, challenged her, and it seems like she's gotten better over time. Also, her fame has exponentially grown over time. She's not like the little girl who did I Hear You anymore, which is where I first saw her.
My God, that's where I first.
Yeah,
I saw the first time I saw her was Oh My Emperor, which is like her very like first main lead, and I'm like,
I just would have never get like if you gave me the cast of like that show or I Hear You and said which one of these 2 people is going to be like insanely famous in the next 5 years, I would not have said her.
Right.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I mean,
me either.
Just being honest, and I really admire her. I think that she seems to have a really strong work ethic, and I'm glad that she's doing much better now because she had a little health scare there not too long ago. But yeah, I think that this is one of her best roles. Like this is almost at this point becoming a magnum opus.
Right. Yeah,
I agree.
I will admit I did not like her in her earlier roles because she did the cutesy thing. Like I do not like that type of character. So when she started getting into these more serious roles like when I first watched Love Like the Galaxy, I almost dropped it because of how she was in the first half. Like not full first half, but like when the first drama started, because I don't like those characters. I'm glad I stuck with it. So I'm really glad to see her try new things and try to get out of that stereotypical like cute girl role that she had, that people loved her for. Like that's how she got famous. She was really good at it. It was just not for me. And so I have not seen Hidden Love for that very reason. I've heard that that's the role that she kind of has. It wouldn't be for me. So I did not even try. But when I do see or hear that she has a role that's a little more like the Love Like the Galaxy role, where it's not as cute or there's like a large growth arc into it, that's when I add a drama to my list of hers to watch. I haven't seen a ton of her dramas though. Like there's a lot of her older resume that I've tried and I've dropped. But like for example, I have not watched Pearl Girl. I haven't seen that one yet. It's on my list to watch.
Yeah.
You guys have.
We have.
So yeah, it's like I like her, but I like her later roles because I know I just don't like the cutesy girl role that she used to do. Okay, but it has been fun watching her take different roles and seeing how she goes about them. Like Love's Ambition, I
was
might
just about to say that. I will be
interesting.
I'll very much be checking that out.
Yeah, I love the male lead of that one too. I love that actor. So I'd be really curious to see her character in that role because even from like the trailers, it's a little more mature in my opinion. Like it looks like it's going to be a little more mature.
It's about a married couple and like their struggles together, and basically they have different family backgrounds and they're dealing with that, and everybody kind of sees this perfect couple, but on the inside they're not necessarily like a perfect couple at all. So I'm very intrigued. Her fashion in this looks so great. She looks very mature, very like so yeah, I am not necessarily the biggest fan of this male lead, but I really want to see her in this. So this one is actually rumored for July, for a July premiere. Right. So it'll hopefully come.
Yeah. So
but yeah,
that's
I think
opinion
this
about Lucy.
I've always liked her. Right from the beginning, I've always enjoyed, like I said, I did like my first impression of her was like Oh My Emperor, which was, one of her first main roles. And that drama is bonkers. Like if anybody has watched Oh My Emperor, it is incredibly bonkers. So yeah, and it's been so nice to see her grow throughout her career, and the things that are coming, from her now just feel so much more grown up. I feel like, Zhao, Lusi, Bailu, all of these actresses that are like in that age bracket, I feel they're like, what's the word I'm looking for? They're growing onto the next stage, and they're leaving behind like these more, less mature roles. They're going
these
on
are like
to more
idol
mature
dramas.
roles. Exactly. I think they're leaving that behind, which to me personally, I've really been enjoying seeing that from all of these actresses and seeing them take that next step in their career. So to me, I still say a lot of people find like they know her because of Hidden Love. I don't think that's that's a good role. Like she did a good job, but to me, Love Like the Galaxy, the story of Pearl Girl, that truly shows what she can do as an actress, I think.
I mean, it's like I can't help but always compare her to Esther Yu for me, because it's the same thing with Esther Yu. I don't like Esther Yu's cutesy roles, but when she did A Journey to Love, that was like a completely shift. Like I almost didn't watch that drama because I was like, all the other roles I've tried with Esther Yu, it's been the same thing. And then I hear that Esther Yu's going to do another role that's like Love Like the Galaxy, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited because she did amazing in that role. So Yeah, I kind of compare those two and just like my journey with both of those.
You mean My Journey to You? SDU was in My Journey to You.
Yeah, My Journey to You. Yeah.
She's gonna be into A Journey to Glow, which is the follow-up or in the same world as A Journey to Love. This is what happens when every title has the same freaking word or whatever in it.
Blossom is the word to this year.
I think we're moving away from Blossom now. I think we are. There's a couple, but too. I think we're moving away from Blossom now. Thank God, because it was just getting ridiculous. So this drama had like a little rough patch right before it was aired. I don't know if you guys know about it, but basically they sent out a bunch of promo and people complained and they said that the costuming looked a lot like, you know, Japanese costumes rather than the you know, and the problem with this one is they are in a specific dynasty. It is a Han dynasty influenced drama. So if that's the case, then they should lean into that rather than have. So actually what they went in and edited the scenes. So Zhao Lusi originally, the main costume that she wears and has in most of the posters, it had like a, guys, I know it's not what it's called, but for ease, it's like it had a bow on the back of the dress. And I know that's not what it's supposed to be called. And they had to go in and like edit that bow out. But they did it and it edged. And, you know, look, I get it. If you're going to lean into a dynasty, make it like that dynasty. Don't go, you know, borrowing from your neighbor who you have really bad relations with. So yeah. So that was the only like little snafu that this drama kind of hit while it was airing. And, you know, that's it. That's all the information. Guys, let's do our non-spoiler thoughts. What did you think about this? This is, again, just to remind you, it is a rewatch. I'm very interested to see what Jess thinks about this drama because I feel like because to you, it's probably going to feel like a fever dream. You did it in like
it's a speed ran through this plot. And okay, so look. I watched this 2 years ago in 2023 for the first time and adored it. I loved it. It was one of the best C-dramas, like top 5 that I had seen, or historical C-dramas that I had seen. And it really like rewired my brain. And it was definitely an era's drama. I was totally obsessed with it in 2023, which is why it spawned like an entire episode on Tibak. The rewatch, I went into it thinking, this is a perfect show. There is nothing that can be improved upon. This is going to be an unassailable watch, and I'm going to have no issues with the show. Not the case at all. So I definitely had a couple of qualms with it. Number one being the freaking length. Okay, 56 episodes. Don't need 56 episodes to tell this plot. There are a lot of characters in it that don't need to be in it. It's definitely bloated in places. And you could have cut entire like pieces of the show and it would have been totally fine. Like nothing would have taken away from the show as a whole. The last 5 episodes, totally superfluous. Like don't even need them. They could have just condensed that. And as it is, it felt complete. The last 2 episodes or so, the finale episodes felt incredibly rushed to me. So I had issues with that. Other than that, I feel like I'm in the minority when I say I like both parts of the show, part 1 and part 2, equally. I love the family drama in part 1. I had no issues with her and Ling Yi not really dealing with each other at all in part 1, like largely. I adore the tension between her and her mother. I thought that's like a selling point to me. Like if I was selling the show, I'd be like, oh my God, the family, you know, I would give all of that context to somebody and say, this is a reason to watch. Other people I have found don't care for that part 1, don't care for the family drama, don't care for how she's kind of restricted in her own home, and the long time coming reunion between her and her parents, who largely don't know her at all, never raised her. So people don't like that. And I'm like, what the hell? That's so juicy. I love it. I love all of the drama in the household. And just the little bits that you get, like the drip bits. When I say drip bits, I kind of mean like drip marketing. Like you just get like a steady drip of the male lead and Ling Bu-yi coming in to save the day, or showing his affection for her in ways that the audience clearly sees, but she has no clue. She is so ignorant of everything that he does for her, to save her or to make her look good or to make sure she has an easier time, what have you. I'm sorry, like that part 1 is just as good as part 2. And I think that I had how do I put it? Because I don't really want to spoil too much, but there is like a revenge through line that I don't really care for in part 1. That was a lot of the stuff that I was skipping in part 1. And then in part 2, it like totally takes over towards like the end of the 40s episodes. And it implodes their relationship. And I thought that the way that we get there, the rewatch helped me to see it better, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
To see how we got to that, the crazy eyes, Ling Bu-yi in a room full of like bodies, kind of crazy. So,
well, let's put it out there. Jess's favorite Ling Bu-yi with the hair and
do we want to do this? Do we want to do this now? Do we want to do this now?
No, okay. No, we'll do it. We'll do it in the spoilers, but it is the one that Jess goes feral for. Listen, just saying.
Well, there were so many parts where I was going feral because I love the relationship and the small moments between the male lead and the female lead. It's just really good, right? Like these are really juicy, chemistry-filled moments. They're really cooking here. They're cooking. But as a whole, I thought it was still an excellent show, still one of my favorites. But the last half of the show definitely has issues for me.
I would absolutely agree. I think rewatching it now, like the first time I loved it, I still was of the same opinion that for some reason, like I love the family politics and what's happening in her family and all of that. But for some reason, the second part hits a little bit better for me. And it's only the slightest, it's only like the tiniest bit. And I think it's because we get more angst in the second part and we get more, we do. And like, I'm here for all of that. I don't mind that it's a slow burn. I don't mind that in the first half, she's not necessarily with the male lead barely any time. That really doesn't bother me. Like you said, I actually really did enjoy all the family politics and what's happening in her family. And I actually enjoyed it because by the second part, there was growth. And by the end, there was growth. So I liked the journey they took us on with the Cheng family in general. So that was one of my positives. Now, like you, I will say on a rewatch, we do not need this many episodes.
What is 56? What is 56 episodes?
Exactly. And I'm like, I don't know if it's also because I'm watching this in 2025 in the era that historicals are much shorter and they do it, in a more condensed episode count, but the stories are just as good, I think. Not for every single historical, but historicals are managing to do just as a good a job with lower episode counts, and the stories become tighter, the plots become tighter, things move more smoothly. So I don't know if it's because I've now watched quite a few of those where that does work, where when I now go back to watch longer format, Chinese dramas, I'm like, they could have shaved this off. They could have shaved this off. There is a lot of characters. And I will say, I end up not really caring for them because they come in and they have like this whole spiel, this whole part of the story. And I'm like, I don't really need it. Like that is giving me nothing to add to the plot and the storyline as a whole, I don't think. So my issues in this rewatch were the pacing of the show a little bit and how it was uneven because like you, I felt like the last two episodes felt really rushed, but there was lots of other places where we could have cut down and given more attention to those last two episodes. So, yeah.
Yep.
What about you, Caitlin?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same ballpark as Liliana, but for very different reasons. Like, I also like the second half better than the first half, but mainly because of she's cutesy in the first half. I don't like that part of her character. But that's just like a thing I have with most of Chinese dramas when they have a cutesy female lead. I don't like it. So that was like a big thing of like in the first half. That's a major reason why I don't like the first half more than the second half. With her family drama, I also don't mind the family drama as much as I think other people, but I still don't like her mother for some parts of it.
What we didn't get into her mom.
Even in the rewatch, but like in the rewatch, I understood her mom a little more than I did the first time.
Same.
So it's not like
yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I think my opinion changed a little bit on the rewatch, but I still disliked her mother. And then I think the same thing with the second half. I like that a lot more just because there's a little more angst. They're together more. Because it's like one of those things where I rarely have second lead syndrome in any drama, but this one in particular, I don't have second lead syndrome whatsoever with how many other people that are going for her, and I just was like, get away and let her be with Wulin's character. So it's like I do not like, one, she didn't need that many people, and two,
yeah, I agree.
It was like there's so many episodes you could have deleted some of them and like just have her with the male lead. So I think I like the second half because they were together more and their relationship really went into gear, like accelerated in the second half for me at least. So I think that's a major reason why I like the second half more as well. Also, the revenge just happened in the second half on all accounts on everybody.
Yeah, the revenge.
So it was like, if you hate a character, you have to wait 20 episodes to see their revenge on them, and then you're like, okay, cool. And that all happened in the second half. So that's why I also like the second half more.
All right. Shall we rate this and then we can get into spoilers? Now, rating. Yeah. Ratings goes as follows. 1 teacup. It was something I watched. It wasn't good, but something made me finish. And that's a 1 to a 5.5 on MDL. 2 teacups, the okay ones. Dramas I don't really recommend, but they were an okay background watch. And that's a 6 to a 7 on MDL. 3 teacups, the enjoyable ones. Good dramas, they were enjoyable, and I would recommend to people who enjoy this genre, and that's a 7.5 to an 8 on MDL. 4 teacups, the loved ones. These are dramas that I really loved. There might be a couple of problems with it, but overall, a really enjoyable drama that I would recommend to a wider audience, and that's an 8.5 to a 9.5 on MDL. And then we have 5 teacups, the rose glass no faults dramas. This rating is reserved for those dramas that you love so much that you are willing to ignore any problems they may have. And that's your 10 on MDL. Now, guys, I'm just going to rate this as a whole. Like, I'm not going to be here rating, I gave this a part 1 and give this to part 2. Like, to me, this is a whole show, a complete show. So to me, this sits as at a 4 teacup because I did love it, but there are some problems on a rewatch that, I just don't think I can necessarily. I don't know. I wasn't as on a rewatch. I don't think I was as pulled in as I was watching it the first time. Obviously, we know what's happening. Although for me, I had forgotten most of the show. Like there's very classic scenes that I had remembered, but it was really good time for me to actually rewatch because a lot of the scenes I didn't remember anymore. But I think for me, this sits at a 4 teacup. And this is why I don't necessarily like rewatching, because to me, when I watched this first time around, it probably would have been an Eros drama 5 teacup. Now, sitting on it and having rewatched is probably like taking it down to a 4 teacup, which is still really good. That's like still a very high rating for me. So, what about you, Jess? What would you rate it?
I'll probably give it 4.5 teacups because I am sitting squarely between. It's still an incredible watch. It still rattles you in places. It still lures you in a lot of places. There are still scenes that stick in my mind really vividly. And I love this main couple. I love the complexity of the characters. You know, every character is really complex, and even evil characters or characters that really annoy our leads circle back, and they're having, you know, they're totally different personalities after calamity has struck or something has happened to them. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all of the journeys that all the characters go on, even if I have really, you know, I've bristled towards the end of the show and had some qualms with it. I think it's 4.5 for me.
What about you, Caitlin?
I would say it's about 4 because it's like looking at the ratings on the 2 halves I did on MDL, it's 4s in the middle because I gave first half was an 8, the second half was a 9, so I'm just like 8.5 or say, yeah, pretty much. So I'd say it's about a 4. I agree with the 4. It's like, again, I had issues with it on my first watch too. Like I think that's the thing too, is like I may have my opinions have changed in my rewatch of it, but overall, I think my opinions have changed more towards the positive. Whereas in my first watch, I definitely had some opinions that critiqued it a little bit for me. So it wasn't even a perfect drama for me when I first watched this. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a 4.
I'm like, those are still really, really, because I know people are so gang-ho about Love Like the Galaxy.
I mean,
and it's one of those
too.
dramas.
I love it.
And the thing is, giving it a score, like giving it a 4, whatever, that doesn't mean it's not good. That's like really high. That's still, I think I still scored it a 9 overall on, you know, MDL. So that is still a really, really good score. And I still loved the drama a lot. But whereas when I first watched it a couple of years ago, I don't think I would have picked up on stuff like, you know, I don't think I was actually doing the podcast, or I must have just started doing the podcast when this aired, which means I would have just been watching for fun. Like, no, you know.
You didn't turn your brain on as much.
Exactly. And I know people say, oh, but don't you just still watch for fun? Regardless of how you look at it, when you have a podcast and you are going to review something, the lens changes for you. Like you look closer, even if you try not to. I think it's always going to change. It's always going to be like, oh, that could be done a little bit better, or this is really good, or this really isn't that good. So I think that's probably the biggest change for me is when I first watched it, I really didn't care for like looking at, you know, is the pacing okay, or is the drama running smooth, or whatever. I never really looked that deep into it. But nowadays, I feel like that's very different when you're going to review something. So yeah. So this is your spoiler warning. Guys, if you've not watched this and you don't want to be spoiled, then go and watch it and come back and listen to the second part of this episode. If you've watched it, keep listening. If you haven't watched it, but still, you know, don't mind spoilers, then keep on listening too. So, guys, other side of spoilers, where do we want to? I feel like it's only right.
The mom.
Okay, let's go straight into the mom. Let's go straight into the mom, because I agree. This time around, actually, I feel like I didn't agree with her. It's one of those situations where I don't necessarily agree with what she's doing, but I can see a little bit better where she's coming from. And I feel like I understood her better in this like rewatch than in the first watch. Because in the first watch, I was just like, I really dislike you. I don't understand why you're doing any of this. And I wasn't like, I wasn't capturing what her character was trying to be. But this time around, I think I understood it a little bit better. But you have thoughts. Who wants to take it away with the mom?
You go first.
Go
Me?
for it, Caitlin.
Oh my God. So I think it was a mixed bag for her. Like, one, obviously, she felt really guilty of like what went down. Like that whole decision of who she was going to leave behind, who she was going to take. Like you could tell the minute she walked out that front door with one baby and left the other baby behind, she felt guilty right away. But she couldn't change that decision, obviously. So I think in her, and then she like went to war and like raised these whatever children she took with her, which were all males, in war. And that's how she raised her children. So then she came back and attempted to raise the daughter she left behind.
Yeah.
But the only way she knew how to raise children at that point was in war, in a military camp, in whatever. And so I could kind of understand why she went the route she did, because it was the only way that she knew how to raise children. And she thought like, oh, okay, it must be good because look at who I raised already. So it must have worked. It worked with these kids. It probably is going to work with this other kid. And obviously it didn't to an extent. But then also you have to look at Zhao Lusi's character. Like she was raised in an environment that was really like she was not liked by anybody in her family.
Hostile.
She was left behind, very hostile. So her mom was already going to be dealing with a person who her mom is used to raising kids and soldiers in an environment where they are made to listen to you. And like there's a hierarchical like structure with that. So then she's dealing with somebody who one acts out of all anyway because she's dealing with horrendous people at home, also probably acting out frustration on the fact that she's having these two parents come back and is like, I don't know you, why do I need to listen to you type situation. And then she's obviously frustrated by trying to attempt to parent this girl, and then she's not listening, and it's obviously not as easy as she thought she would be. And then she's feels guilty about it because she now learns what she had to deal with when she's home anyway. It's just like I think her mom was like trying to find her place in this family and in this hierarchical structure of the family when she wasn't there for the first 16 years. I think that's how old. Well, technically in the book, I think she was supposed to be 14, but they raised her age in Love Like the Galaxy, the drama. Because Wu Lei's character is 21 when they first meet. Anyway, so I kind of understand that like her mom was dealing with this situation. Like she was a fish out of water in all regards, between being a wife who was not at war and not like dealing with soldiers and dealing with all that stuff and trying to find her place in a household that really there was not a place for her to be. So she kind of had to dig her way back into this hierarchy system. And then dealing with a daughter who like didn't respect her because she didn't know her and didn't really respect anybody in her family because her family didn't treat her with any respect and like kicked her out and like put her in the countryside to not deal with her.
I'm going to jump in and I'll just say I 100% agree with you. And I felt for the mom incredibly because she was guilty. She had this huge regret that she made this decision 15 years ago to leave one of the twins behind, which is fucking wild behavior to do. Like she had just given birth to both of these kids and decided to leave one. I mean,
on the statement of a sister-in-law too. It wasn't even just like, it wasn't even a calculated decision. It was like, we need to fucking go to war. And your sister-in-law was like, you need to leave one of them behind because this mystic told us you had to. Which was a complete lie, which we learned. Like, she never went to a mystic.
In order to be filial, right, to the mother-in-law, who is ridiculous. Like, the entire show, she's ridiculous. Absolutely.
She really
lunatic
is. She
behavior.
truly is.
She decides to leave one of her fresh children in her care and hopes that they will raise her right. They don't know how long this campaign is going to go for. They don't know how long they're going to be out fighting for the country. And it just so happens it was 15 years. I think they say 10 years. I don't know if they came home at some point or if they were like off duty at some point, and that's why they could say 10 years in the show. But it looked like it was a 15-year campaign. They did not see her for 15 years. They did not know their daughter. And so she had this deep regret. She comes back and Xiaoshang like does not know her, does not know them, as you stated. And the cat's out of the bag. Like, the milk is already spilled. You can't undo what's already been done. And the prime child rearing years are done.
They're gone.
Like, she's already cooked. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't try and, make up for lost time, which is what she kept saying throughout the show. She's like, I gotta make up for lost time. Like, she's so behind. I have to make up for lost time. And like you said, she was going about it in a militaristic fashion, in a way that would make you think, oh, she's raising a boy. She's raising, a wild child who, needs a lot of discipline early on. Early on is not, what are you talking about? She's 15. It's done. Like, and instead of thinking, we've missed out on 15 birthdays, 15 years of festivals, 15 years of hugs, 15 years of family dinners, and going about it in a softer way, in a way that would make her think, we love you. We want to get to know you. We cherish you. Please don't hold it against us that we literally abandoned you to this household of crazy women to raise you. She took a firm hand. She used the rod immediately. At one point, she does whip her little hand with a ruler.
Cane, yeah.
So she decides to take the route of pain. Is going to make her listen to me. It's going to make her consider me an authoritative figure in her life, and she's going to listen to me. And unfortunately, that's not the way that Xiaoshang would have, responded well to any instruction at all, bar none. And not all children are the same way. You can't raise them all the same way. And that's not to say that you favor one and the other versus the other. But the mom also took that route, which is like, I'll just compare the shit out of her and her cousin. And that'll make her think I should behave better. I should be more like Yang. And absolutely not. That drives a rift further between them. And it's heartbreaking to see the mom make the worst mistakes over and over and over again, and thinking that it's the right choice to discipline her.
Well, the fact that you also
teach her right from wrong.
She also won't listen too. Like, Xiaoshan is telling her, I don't like hearing you compare me to my cousin.
Right.
She has said that multiple times, and the only response her mom gives is, well, act more like your cousin. And it's like,
well, do better.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you're not listening. And you want this relationship, you want this connection. You're jealous of people who do have that connection with her because they've taken another route. It's just like,
At one point, I think the third aunt says you can't raise a pet bird, like a pet canary, and a hawk the same way.
Yeah, it has to be different. And I also think the mother, when it comes, Xiaoshang has never had any structure in her life. If you force that on her, like you guys were saying, it was never going to work. And what's going to happen? I also think very much, actually, that Xiaoshang and her mother are very alike in terms of personality. Yes. And that makes it so much worse. I think I take this from personal experience. My mum and I exactly the same personality, and we clashed. When I was growing up, we clashed so freaking much because we're the same people, and we kept, going head to head. And I see this in this show. They're the exact, they are so very much alike that they clash constantly because they both want to pull in their own direction, and they both think they're right, and they both think they know better in essence. And I think her mother has never had to listen to anybody, even when it comes to her husband, who she's supposed to be, below or whatever. Her husband turns to her, and like he listens to her, not the other way around, if that makes sense. So I think she's always like had this very military, life, and that's all she knows. That is all she knows. And she thinks that like pushing that onto Xiaoshang is gonna be like, in a couple of weeks she's gonna come out the other end, this very poised woman who, that's not necessarily how it happens.
Their personalities were the same. They're both resolute. They're both stubborn. They're both extremely vindictive and powerful and commanding, and very intimidating, both of them. And I like that the show kind of shows like these little mannerisms being the same between Xiaoshang and her mother, and then Xiaoshang and her father, kind of for comedic effect. But you're like, wow, I really like what they're doing here, because without even being with them for 15 years, there is something tangible that is the same, that is familial, that is bloodline between them. And, they didn't teach her to make those mannerisms and do those things that are the same as them. That's just a natural. That's just all genes. And I love how the show is saying that. And that's the same with their personalities between the mother and the daughter. One thing that I really appreciated as well was that the father he had the right idea about like how to raise her, but he always deferred to his wife.
Yeah. And I think
he was
that's
always
where
like making funny faces and like getting her off the hook and like, just go, just leave.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Yeah. The other thing I will say too is like, again, she went about it the wrong way, but she did have some good points and good reactions to Xiaoshan's marriage proposals.
Absolutely.
And just like how ridiculous they sound to all of them. I mean, granted, when Lin Bui did his whole marriage proposal, I don't think she went about it the right way of refusing it to the emperor at all. But she did have a good point of like, dude, like you were just engaged. Like, this is ridiculous. Same with the first one that she was engaged to. It's like, yeah, they had a longer engagement, but her mom was right to question that engagement and is like, do you really want to do this? Especially after meeting his family and the hierarchy of his family. Like she was like, you are not going to be happy here. You hate this hierarchy stuff. And this family is even more hierarchical than we are. And I already know you hate our family. So how are you going to be happy in this relationship?
Yeah.
Marrying into this family. So like,
she understood the dynamics and the landscape
exactly
way better than Xiao.
Way better. But I also think she understood her daughter more than what her daughter wanted to realize, because as you said, Jess, they were a lot alike. So she knew herself she would hate that family and hierarchy system. So she knew her daughter would hate that family and hierarchy system. Same with like the palace and Ling Buyi's whole dynamic, as we saw that play out when they actually were engaged and she had problems in the palace in the second half. Her mom knew that was going to happen because
she was like, his family's even more fucked than Ayao's family. So what are you doing?
And I think also what she was trying to do was, she went about it in the wrong way, sure, but I will say her mother always tried to protect her in the best way that she could. And like, I think you can see that throughout the drama, in the fact that it's the kind of situation where I can say this about her, but if anybody else does, like, I will make, I'll make sure it's stopped there. And when it came to Xiaoshang at her engagements and everything, I think her mother was always trying to look beyond, because she knew once her daughter was married, that was it. She would not be able to do anything else for her at that point. Yeah. She can't save her. Mm-hmm. Xiaoshang will be on her own, in a new family where, the hierarchy is different, where that will be law. Whatever goes is whatever. And her mother will not be able to interfere no matter how much she wants to. So I think she went about it the wrong way, but I think her intentions were to just try and get the best marriage for her daughter so that she could, live the best life there is. She was like, I think her way was, because I have failed you for 15 years, I want to try and make sure that you have like a smoother rest of your life. And I do appreciate that throughout the show, we do see growth from their relationship. And by the end, like, her mother actually comes to her rescue, but she defers to Xiaoshang, and Xiaoshang is the one giving the orders to like her family. And I loved seeing that scene. Goosebumps. I loved seeing that scene so much, because here is this girl who is literally a girl at the beginning of the show, and by the end, here is this woman who was truly protected by everybody. Her brothers protected her, everybody kind of tried to protect her. But by the end, everybody's deferring to her, and she's like calling the shots. And she's really grown into her own and into, the woman that she will be for the rest of her life. So I truly loved seeing her growth, like Xiaoshang's growth, through her relationship with her mother, and like how the conversations worked, between them. But yeah, I think her mother was just trying to do the best she could. The worst part was when Ling Buyi proposed, and she was like, "Oh my God!" It was that scene. It just hits because she is trashing her daughter. She's trashing her daughter in public, in
front of the royal family. It's like everybody important that you could ever think of. All of her enemies that she's quickly made in the palace. They're all laughing at her because her own mother is belittling her and calling attention to all her faults. She's not worthy. She sucks. Like, that's in a nutshell everything that she was saying about her. And it was so true. Like, it was so accurate that it was too hurtful. You know what I mean? There was no hyperbole there.
Yeah.
The mom believed every fucking thing she said. She said it with her whole chest. No matter if she said it to get Xiaoshang out of this engagement that was so rushed and so random and everything. I'm a big proponent of, like, if you're a parent, you never talk shit about your kids in front of anybody.
Yeah.
Never talk
shit
in front of anybody. You always do it in private. You always correct in private. You always you never, if you need to freaking hype up your kid in public.
Yeah. In public, you have their back no matter what.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So as soon as she did that, I was like, oh, it's just such a slap in the face. The way that Xiaoshang looks crestfallen and so hurt by everything that she's saying, because even though she's heard it before, she has never said this in front of everybody, in front of Ling Buyi. Like, every freaking body is listening to her mom shit talk her.
Yeah.
And it's everything that she feared and more. The kind of iron fist that her mom ruled by in the house was just harsh. It's so flagrant in front of Xiaoshang, who was so love-starved. She was love-starved her entire life. And then her mom comes and is like ruling with an iron fist and telling her what to do, what to read, all the things, and enforcing all of these rules, like who to be, and restricting her freedom and all the things that she absolutely hates to do. The other thing that the mom never did was acknowledge what she's good at, which was, she is a woman in STEM. Like, she is never going to be the liberal arts major. She's never going to be reading all of the classics and all of the poetry and learning how to be a studied woman for the era and learning all of the etiquette. That was never going to be her strong suit. She displayed early on that she can do math, she can do accounting. She was building things in the backyard, she was tearing up wood, she was an engineer, she was of critical importance when they went to the Hua County and they were rebuilding it after that calamity, that disaster, that uprising. I don't freaking know. She didn't care. Like none of that like mattered to the mom.
Yeah.
And I think that was another huge issue because everybody else, even the third aunt, was like, you should have her learn more of this stuff versus trying to force her to learn all of this other stuff. Yeah, she needs to learn how to read, obviously, but stop making her learn all of the, Confucian this and all of that. Like that's never going to be her strong suit. She's never going to be a scholar.
Yeah. Oh,
I agree. I think it was probably one of the more interesting like mother-daughter relationships that I've watched. And I think for me specifically in the second, like as a rewatch, I could understand the mother a bit more. So in that scene where she does like Ling Boyi has proposed, I still hate it. The first time I just saw red. I hated it. And not that like in the second rewatch, it's not like I didn't see red. I still hated it and everything she was saying. But I could also see that what she was trying to do.
She put her life on the line.
Yeah. To get her she out. Was trying to get her daughter out. She was putting she was trying to go against the emperor himself.
Right.
To get her daughter out. And I think on a rewatch, I saw that and I was like, okay, I don't agree with it. I hate the action that you're doing and like the way you're going about it, but I can kind of see where you're coming from. And I can see that you're just trying to protect your daughter. So yeah,
one thing that circles around is that all of these infractions and this simmering tension between her and her mom, the way that the mom like kind of gives up in part one, they have that like big spat where she beats her with the sticks and stuff like that. And she's like, I will never discipline you again. I'll never talk shit about restricting you or doing anything. Like she's like washing her hands of her. Anyway, all this leads up to in part two, she goes into the cold palace with the queen. And the mom realizes only too late that she means to not leave. Like she's not leaving the
she's
cold
in
palace.
There. Yeah.
And that moment when the mom goes after her,
she just breaks down.
And she just breaks down. Oh, powerful.
That moment. Oh, I get chills. Like I'm literally getting chills because that scene, and I think it's also that scene is just so hard to watch in a sense.
It's
because
you
I
reap
think
what you sow.
Yeah, exactly. And that is exactly what she does. She is reaping, what she's done to Xiaoshang. And Xiaoshang is just like, I'm going in, I'm not coming out. And I don't think the mother really truly saw that until she saw the daughter, like, and the gates closing. And it's such a powerful scene, isn't it? Because it's like, it's almost like the doors are closing on their relationship almost. And I'm like, it's really good imagery. It's directed so incredibly well. It's acted so incredibly well. And I think also it's very precious because Zhao Lusi and Zhang Li, who plays her mother, like they are in fact really close and they've worked together. I mean, she plays her mother again in Hidden Love. Yeah. So these two actresses, work really well together. So I it's one of my favorite things. I think on a rewatch, actually, it's become one of my favorite things is Xiaoshang's relationship with her mother. It truly is. I love the evolution of it. I love how complicated and complex it is. And on the surface, you outright hate the mother and all you want is for Xiaoshang to, get away from her. Get married and leave. But once you start digging a little bit deeper and you start looking, there's so much more there for these two characters. So I think it's just one of those relationships that I truly, truly, truly loved to to watch develop on screen. So shall we talk about our main couple?
Yeah, let's do it because it is called Love Like the Galaxy.
Yeah, exactly. It is called Love Like the Galaxy. But I don't necessarily think we need to go into detail about Xiaoshang and, all of her conquests because the end of the day. I say all of her conquests as if, I mean, she has 2 other engagements.
So her first boyfriend was this precious
we can go through this and quickly talk about it. Yeah,
the first guy was so sweet. He gave her anything and everything she wanted.
Sweet.
He was constantly giving her food, which is like how I like to be serenaded as well. He was,
me too.
Caitlin.
I'm a Taurus through and through.
Same. He was bringing her like sweet treats, and I was like, "Oh yeah, marry this guy. Just marry this guy."
Yeah.
Anyway, he was a playmate. She even said, like, what's wrong with marrying a playmate? He was never going to be this all-consuming love for her.
No.
They were very good friends. They were friends.
It was comfort. It was comfortable.
It was comforting.
Exactly. They were comfortable together. I think at one point she's talking with one of the friends. It's the one that marries her brother. That friend. I forget what her name is. But anyway, they're talking and they're kind of like drunk at night. And they go, the friend goes, have you like envisioned like who you want to be with, what kind of hero you want to be with? And she was like, why do I need to be with a hero? Ling Bu Yi, of course, is eavesdropping and he hears this and he's kind of downtrodden about this, that she's kind of like, well, I don't want like some lofty hero who's got all of this responsibility to the country and all of this stuff and is gone on campaigns and stuff, which is very similar to what her parents done. She doesn't want like that life for herself.
She just wants a simple life.
She wants a simple life. She wants a simple guy. Fine. Yeah. So part of the reason why Ling Bu Yi
she won't like that though. That was the problem though. She would not be able to live that the entire time, which was the big like difference of that is like the ironic thing about that is they had to break up because of country and because of like duty and because of the what that would look like if they didn't, like respect and like she still, even if it wasn't a military family and they weren't going off the campaign,
she still had to
deal with that honor and respect of the military and
Love
everything
it.
like that.
Love that. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing that she says with or talks about with Ayao that Ling Bu Yi overhears and kind of like walks away sad, nobody sees him as he's taking the walk of shame, but they have similar ideals. They have similar outlooks on life. They want a similar future where they strive for a better world. They want to help the people and they don't want to shy away from duty and all of this stuff. And it's a huge reason why they do break up is because they made this promise to each other to kind of build themselves up and move far away and live this life of carefree freedom, but also take on this responsibility and this yoke because they did so much good and they saw how much people needed this class of people that can do something, right? That can help them in times of need when they were out in Hua County. So when Ling Bu Yi hears that, he's like, well, I am a war dog. Like, how am I going to help her do all that? Like, I'm the wrong guy. So he walks away. And it is ironic that it's because of their, deep respect for the people and the people that sacrificed everything to save, another town from an incursion. They have to break up.
Yeah.
So,
and also, I just think it's the type of relationship where Ayao would have never challenged her.
Exactly.
And I think Xiaoshang needs somebody who is willing to challenge her. Which I think why Ling Bu Yi works so well with her is because he does challenge her and they do challenge each other back and forth. And I think that's what she needs, even though she doesn't think she does. She thinks, and that itself is very interesting because through these engagements, you kind of see her, accept what she truly wants out of her life and, accept at the end of the day that neither of these other 2 people are what she wanted. It might be what she needed, but not necessarily what she wanted. So yeah.
I think it's opposite. It's what she wanted, but not what she needed.
Yeah. Right. Yes, I meant that. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Because I think also truthfully in what she wanted, it wasn't actually what she wanted. She just didn't want what she had currently in that time period. So like with his relationship with her, it was comfortable for her. He didn't talk back. He gave her food. There was no like friction with that, which everybody around her in that time of her life, she was like fighting against, and she was like, he gave her no strict like restrictions. Granted, his family would have, but like he himself didn't give her restrictions on anything, didn't make her do anything. And so in that time period of her life, she wanted that because that's what she wasn't dealing with everybody else in her life. But that's
he just
not, she wouldn't have been happy.
He wasn't solid. You know what I'm saying? Like there was nothing about Ayao that was like solid. And every time Ling Buyi shows up, he's like, "Don't be afraid, I'm here."
Right.
Yeah.
Like he instantly assures her. Yeah. And he saves her life like multiple times. It's just the difference between them is so stark.
Yeah.
Even if Ayao is so
sweet. The other thing too is like, it's like you think about his family, and if she would have married into his family, he was the second family in that family, so he already had a low rank. He never stood up to that family.
He could never stand up to them. To the first. He would have never stood his ground for her.
Yeah, and she would have hated that because she hated that when it happened with Lin Buyi. Would have hated that, and then she would have stood up for herself and would have been like crushed
in trouble
underneath that. Yeah, in trouble constantly. And maybe he didn't do that in front of her because they never really was around his family, so she never saw that until the end. She just didn't have a full picture of what her life would have been like, which her mom did know. And so I think it was just like a fantasy ideal of what she wanted because she had that one picture with her friend and not necessarily
she's like, we're gonna move far away. He's gonna get a government job in a faraway town, and we're gonna do all these things together, and we're gonna be free as a bird. Girl, get it right. Get it together.
And the thing is, that comes around because by the end of the show, she goes and visits this town where where Ayao has gone, and his freaking sister, is it his sister or his cousin, kind of drags
it's a cousin.
It's a cousin, drags her into this mess of
there's a whole chamber underneath the thing. Girl, I don't even fucking know. Anyway,
my eyes glazed a little bit at that point.
Let's get to Ling Buyi because I find him so interesting.
He's so compelling.
He's so compelling, like even from jump. And the thing is, I never noticed this on first watch, but on second watch, he falls in love with her immediately.
Instantly. Yeah.
Instantly.
First sight. When he sees her at the festival.
She sticks out her little white arm from the carriage. And that's instantly falls in love with her. He repeats her name back to himself in like episode 1. And there's like already
he's intrigued. Yeah, there's already something there.
Yes, it's incredible. And I just loved seeing him light up when she's brought up, when she's nearby, when the scenes where you see him overlooking the Lantern Festival and she's there with the red
that scene
brocade and the white cape and are you fucking kidding me? It is so gorgeous. And his face, I mean, throughout the whole thing and then he saves her that night from the fire. I mean, there are so many moments that we can talk about, but I adore every time he's on screen and that he's doing something. I think that I picked up more on the hints of, I don't want to say lunacy, but just like rage. I don't know how to put it, but the seething, unadulterated, just like insane rage that was simmering underneath the surface. I picked up on that a lot more in the earlier episodes, especially when he's like on his little missions and he's interrogating people and he's fighting with people and stuff. I'm like, oh, he's like a crazy man. He's like a crazy person.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't come as a surprise when later on he has this like full crash out.
Right.
What is that? Like episode 48, 49 or something?
Something like that.
Yeah. I think he's the type of character, or the type, these people do exist in real life as well, where, they don't necessarily go out on a killing spree, but there's these kind of people who are always in control of every single thing, right? And I think Ling Boyi is that type of person.
Like he was giving full Patrick Bateman in the show. Like in public, he's very put together. He's very charming in places. And then behind closed doors, like he's got like the freaking raincoat on with an axe. Like you're just like, oh my God, he's crazy. Like that's Ling Boyi.
And the thing is, that is his like character way of being. He is in control of everything. And I think actually it was really, really interesting to me that he fell in love with her at first sight. But it also rings true to his character because he is a man that knows what he wants and he is going to get it. And that's exactly, and he's just the same in love. Like he knows what he wants. I love the fact that this man, when she said no and she went and got engaged to Ayao, he backed off. He helped her when he needed, but he was like, whatever, if she's happy, I'm happy. And that's like so beautiful to see. Now, a lot of people will say he has an unhealthy love for her and he has like a toxic love for her and he has like red streaks all over him. It's not red streak. He's a whole red flag. Like this man is a bit of a red flag. But I still, I always say this.
My response to that is yes, and
exactly. I always say this. Look, if a walking red flag is walking in my life, I am sending them packing. If it's on my screen, give it to me because they are the best, the more compelling type of characters have these like red tendencies to them that I just love to watch. It makes them really, really complex, entertaining characters. They're not like one tone, flat characters. So, I loved him. I think he
idolized
Jess,
her. He worshipped the ground she walked on, and that is the kind of love that I want to see in my dramas. Okay,
exactly.
That is what I'm here for. That is what I signed up for. That is Ling Boyi with Xiao Shang. When he rebuts what the mom says at the banquet, when the mom's like, "You can't marry her because X, Y, Z," and the other, he's like, "She is the best woman in the world."
Yeah. And that's the kind of man you want in your corner.
Hello.
Like, that's the kind of man that you want in your corner. And it's the fact that, he, even when they're not together, like in the second half, after he's gone full out crazy and, he's been sent off to, that's what I'm calling it. I'm calling his full out crazy.
The crash out. We got to talk about the crash out.
Yeah, we do. When he lets his crazy flag fly high in the wind. Like that to me. And then afterwards, where he doesn't want anything to do with Xiao Shang because he doesn't want, to implement her. And he comes back and she is in this carriage, right? And with this lady, with like the woman, I forget the name of the woman. I have it in my notes, but it's the maid.
It's the maid.
Yeah, the Empress's maid that used to be the Empress's maid. Oh my gosh,
that's another complaint
she
that I had.
It's so infuriating.
Every female goes absolutely fucking crazy in the final 10 episodes. Right. I don't know what they were thinking with that.
Yeah, but the line of him, because she's in that carriage and she flies out of the carriage and they're like hanging. He's literally an injured hand.
I will not live without you.
If you die, I die. It's that simple. And it's just like, look, this man lives.
He does not play about her. One thing about Ling Boyi, he's not going to play about Xiao Shang.
He doesn't. And he has this spidey sense for any time she's in trouble. Like this man knows instinctively when Xiao Shang is in trouble and when she needs him. But I also love like how their relationship progressed and how it grew, even after that 5-year gap, that 5-year breakup did them the world of good in a sense, because when they do come back kind of, stronger. But Ling Boyi is just, and yes, people can say he's toxic. I don't care.
I don't really care. Sorry.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's like the whole saying of he's a red flag, but I'm colorblind. Like, it completely applies to him. Like, I see no. Like, yeah, it just makes he's a very, very compelling character. Very compelling character.
Another
all across the board.
Guy who immediately connects with her and finds out everything there is to know about her, asks her about her aspirations before he goes off to war in the tree-lined path. Oh my God. Like, honestly, that scene
is like
gorgeous. Oh God.
That scene is the epitome of cinematography. It is so incredibly stunning.
But he asked her, he's like, what do you want to do with your life? Like, what are your future plans? Not just marriage. This is an effort to like get to know her, right? Like, what do you want to do with your life? And she's like, oh, I want to write medical books. I want to get all this crucial information out to the people. I want to build buildings. I want to, do all these things. She's, again, woman in STEM. But he was like, oh, wow, we're like really different. Because he has different goals, different aspirations, a completely different job, vocation. And I love that he acknowledges their differences. I love that he admires her for what she wants to do in life and her goals. And he, throughout their courtship is trying to convince her that he's not going to restrict her. He's not going to make her change. He's not going to, make her eat less and wake up early to exercise and all of this stuff. That was like a lot of comedic relief in those episodes of him coming to the house, like trying to ingratiate himself with the family, telling really morbid jokes and stuff like that. That was really funny. But the scene when they reconcile and he says, like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to use my powers to protect you. Right? I'm not going to restrict you. I'm not going to, jail you up or anything like that. I really just want to protect you. Will you let me do that? And he brings her like a little piece of millet bread and he says, you can eat anytime you want. Listen to me.
Loved it.
I was like, oh my God, apology and food. Boy,
that's the best way to apologize.
I know.
That's the best way to apologize. And the thing is, I think at the end of the day, Ling Boyi is Xiaoshang's biggest cheerleader in general, and he'll just continue to do so throughout his lifetime.
He did not play about her. When he gets revenge on like all the 8 girls that tossed her into the lake, throwing rocks at her, throwing snakes at her and shit. The face that he made when all that was revealed,
he was ready to kill. He was ready to drop bodies, and I'm like,
is there not a supercut or an edit somewhere of all of Ling Buyi's ass kicking death looks that he was giving in the show? Because there were plenty of like, he's gonna kill this person.
Do you know what it is? In book lingo, there's always this phrase thrown about that I personally love and a lot of readers love, and it's the touch my woman and die, which is like, it's very classic.
Yeah.
And like, exactly. It's just kind of like people, people on the other end of the scope, they're always like, oh my gosh, that's so, anti-feminism. And it's like, it's truly not. And it's also,
if I don't play about my man, why would he play about me?
Why would he play about me? And it's just like, what do you mean? And I live for moments like that in books, and I live for moments like that in shows where it's just like, touch him and you die. And the thing is, we see that reciprocated in Xiaoshang. Like, when she stands up for him, she goes just as hard as he does. And I'm like, I love this. I love this in relationships, and I love those moments. Call it toxic, call it unhealthy, call it whatever the heck you want.
Right. I mean, the unhealthy stuff was, I understand where people are coming from, because he never told her the truth, never explained to her all of his plans, was never open with her and communicative about his life, his likes, his dislikes, the truth about the tragedy of his family and stuff like that, his revenge plots, all of that she was kept in the dark. Everything about the crown prince and getting the crown prince out of power and stuff like that, she was never told any of that. It was always like blanket statements, just stay out of the Eastern Palace, don't do this, don't do that, and never given the reason why. And so that sowed a lot of discord between them. And she always called him on his bullshit when things kind of blew up in their faces. She was like, why are you telling me to not do things and not telling me why or why not? You need to communicate with me. If I am telling you everything and I am, trying to be vulnerable with you, why are you not being vulnerable with me? And that's a completely understandable statement. She felt very strongly that she was having an identity crisis when she was with him, because there was a power imbalance between them, and there was a class difference between them, and everybody was calling attention to it except for him. He was like ignorant to it, not ignorant, but like he never addressed it. He was always standing up for her.
I don't think he saw it though. I don't think he saw it.
True.
I think he believed in her so much and liked her so much and saw her as his equal.
Right.
Not in terms of class or any societal standard, but he loved her brain. He loved her STEM resources. He loved how she treated like people around her and like what she did in Wa County and like all that stuff. But everybody else was like, well, he's a general and she is a daughter of a general that is a lower class. Like he did not see the same things that everybody was judging her for. And while she was dealing with that her entire life, and obviously that was going to whittle down her self-esteem when it came to that type of discussion. So I think the first real inkling of him realizing that he was not equally seeing her as anybody else was the conversation with her mother when he proposed, because he was so surprised that even her mother was saying this type of stuff to her. But yeah, I don't think he truly did not see that at all.
I think he was a gentleman and like he'd never really thought of it that way. And the identity thing as well, she was like, I want to be my own person. I am Xiao Shang. And why do people keep referring to me as like Ling Buyi's wife to be? Why am I always referred to in terms related to you? When I do something good, why do you get rewarded? And she had a lot of things to work out when it came to their relationship because she didn't see them as one.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was I think that still was to the end of the show was very independent and wanted to be really her own person.
One of my frustrating parts with that, because even on rewatch, I loved her independence in the show but I will say, I thought that she had a harder time listening to, like, at least with Lin Bu-yi, when he realized he had made a mistake, he tried to change. And granted, sometimes that worked out and sometimes that didn't, but at least he made an effort. I think with her, it took a lot longer for her to actually understand the whole we are one person, like as a couple. And like at first, it was understandable how she took that saying and how she didn't like that. And it took a lot longer to really understand what that meant. Like years when it came to the drama. But like that was one of my more frustrating parts, even on my first watch, was like, you need to realize that statement. And like the fact that she didn't for many, many, many episodes and many, many years in the drama was really one of the things I disliked about it, because he was trying to make an effort and trying to change given the criticism got by her. And yeah, it didn't always work out. He didn't always make the best choices when doing that, but you understood he was trying. She, on the other hand, was so stubborn, would not let it go until she actually realized she should or whatever. And so that was a frustrating part for me.
See, I thought it was frustrating. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in her defense, though, she is very vocal and she tells Ling Buyi what she isn't, what she's thinking and what he needs to change, whereas Ling Bui never tells her because in his mind, she doesn't need to change anything. And the thing is, ever since her mum and everybody came back, she's always been hearing, you need to be this, you need to be this, you need to be this. So I can understand her wanting to hold on so tightly to the person she is because she sees them becoming this one as, you know, her losing herself a little bit, I think. And that's what she doesn't want to do
in terms
because
of
she's
winning
fought
and losing
so hard. Exactly. She doesn't want to lose. And she doesn't. And I think she just wants so badly to hold on to the person she is because she's fought so hard against her mother, against her grandma, against everybody that keeps telling her that she's not the typical lady and that she needs to be this and that she needs to be that. And she's held through all of that. She's held onto her person and her independence. So I can understand where she's coming from. But also, again, he's not telling her about any of this because in his mind, she is, you know, great. So,
but at the same time, he knew she couldn't take that. Like, that's my argument too, though. If he had gone about and been like, I need you to do this, I need you to do that, she wouldn't have taken those statements because it would have been, he's telling me what to do. So I do agree. He did not communicate with her at all. I do agree that was a misstep for him.
Huge
but
misstep.
At the same time, he also knew if he attempted to do that, she would not take it well.
But I think she does eventually take it.
Here's what I was going to say is that like the biggest like fallo for him, like the biggest like muck up for him is that once everything went sideways and his investigations came up against dead body after dead body, evidence going up in flames and stuff like that, and him really not being able to gain a foothold with the type of revenge that he was going for. He was going for blood and he couldn't get that justice the official way. And once the last guy died, what was it, like Pungyu or Pungho or whatever?
Pankun or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds right. Pengkun or something.
Yeah, anyway, I think that is right.
Once that guy turns up dead, he fucking goes feral. He loses his shit because that was the last straw. That was the last man standing between him and getting some sort of witness for the wrong that was done to the Hoa clan back in the day. And so at that point, he should have, because she's his ride or die.
Yeah.
Right.
She's his ride or die. And she actively is trying to get him to tell her the truth. What were you trying to tell me? What were you going to tell me? And he keeps starting the sentence, I'm not. He almost told her so many times and never finished the sentence that I'm not Ling Yi. Never told her his true identity and never told her the true plans until it was fucking the night before their wedding.
And he chose such an awful time.
Yes.
Like, literally, she's getting ready to be his bride. She's literally getting ready.
She's in her wedding dress.
Yeah, to spend the rest of her life with him. And it's just like, and the thing is, he did the worst thing anybody could have done to Xiaoshang, which is abandon her. Like, he knew that was what he was going to do. He willingly did it.
There were stipulations that she made throughout the show that portended what would happen, right? That she was like, unless you deceive me, I will be with you for life. Like, I'll love you forever or something like that. She always put conditions in there, you know? She said, unless you abandon me,
I'll never forget it.
She always set her boundaries. She always set what was a deal breaker for her. And again, like I was saying, she was trying to coax him to tell her the truth. She already suspected what was going on. They made that freaking vow where they bit each other and stuff. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but like that was a serious as shit. And still,
that actually, I do want to touch on that you brought it up, because I did ask one of our lovely listeners, and she looked it up for me because I could not find it. And apparently that was something that was used between lovers who couldn't get the approval of like their parents. So it was equal to like a marriage promise. It was a promise of the strongest, you know, highest thing held between two people who truly love each other. but cannot get acceptance from like parents and stuff like that. So that's what it is. And after that scene, I was like, I can't believe, because like watching it the second time around,
you're like, how the fuck can he not
you know where it's heading. You know where it's heading. Yes. And you're just like, how? There's so many times. Like it's wild to me.
Yeah. I think it's wild too that after everything they went through and after her patiently waiting for him to come clean, he decides to crash out in the worst way and like throw caution to the wind. He said, fuck the marriage. He went into that crash out already abandoning her.
Yeah. Yeah. And he knew what he was doing because he tells her he does. Like he knows full well what he's doing. So I think like some people have said, you know, I think there's been some commentary about it took her far too long to forgive him. It absolutely did not. It absolutely did not, because I think there was a lot that they needed to work out. I think actually I do want to mention one scene, and Jess, you kind of glazed over it a little bit. It's when he actually comes back and he gets rescued and everything. And the emperor asks him, what is your name? And he says for the first time his true name and who he is. And I am like sobbing. Like, I don't understand. Like, that scene just hits so much. And I think it's because I think that's truly why he has never wanted Xiaoshang to change as well, because he has had to hide who he truly is his whole life. To have your name stripped away from you is incredibly, like, that is so degrading. And he has had to do it for years. So I think it gives him an even extra layer of why. I mean, he loves her. He doesn't want her to change because he loves her just how she is. But it gives it even more oomph and, you know, a reasoning of why he would never want her to change, because he has had to like hide. But that to me, like Wu Lei's acting in that scene,
the whole thing, honestly, the like scene where she confronts him is my scene. The scene when she shows up in her wedding dress on the night that he's committed this like atrocious murder. Jeez. And she confronts him.
Crazy eyes, sword dripping blood everywhere.
Blood. He tells her, Xiaoshang, I have no way out. And like, I think the rewatch is much clearer that the emperor, who I love the emperor. He's sweet.
We're going to have to touch on him and like the empress's conversation. Absolutely. We absolutely have to.
The emperor was a soft on crime. Okay. Soft on all of the officials who throughout the show turn up as doing evil deeds, and they're caught by Ling Buyi and they're brought to justice. He always doles out a softer punishment than what is required by law. And that drives a rift between him and the emperor. He knows the emperor is not going to have his back. He knows it's going to be far-fetched to get the level of revenge and justice that he's going for. He knows it's going to be really difficult to prove his identity and to prove that all of these events happened and that it's warranted for him to go after these people and go for the jugular. And once that last guy dies, and like his turns out his uncle, but in the show it's his dad,
his father,
it's seen as his father, turns out to be like the ultimate like big bad who personally killed the general from back in the day and did all of these foul misdeeds to allow this atrocity to happen. That is like the moment when that guy kills the last witness, it's over. Like there is no more justice that he can go no further officially. So he's like, I gotta do this the way that I always thought that it was gonna go. I'm gonna have to kill him personally, and it's gonna be off the books. And I can't implicate Xiaoshang or her family in this, because after we get married, we're all linked, and patricide is just not going to fly.
No. So he does it the night before their wedding.
The music, I want to touch on the music and the cinematography, because there's a lot of really cool shots in this show that I remember loving the first time and I adored them the second time. The way that they shoot the scene that I was just talking about is wonderful. It's beautiful. The music swelling and this like beautiful orchestral score, it is stunning. Like it's memorable. And a lot of the score reminded me of there was like a Spanish guitar in there at one point that I'm like, this sounds like a Western. Like this literally sounds like watching a Western or spaghetti Western. Some of it sounded almost like the score from Psycho, like Hitchcock's Psycho. I thought this score was incredible, the music. And the scenes that I remember are like kind of just, you know, they're kind of throwaway scenes that everyone would think, no one would think anything of, but they're technically difficult. Like in part 1, I remember there was this scene going through the house and I was like, this is crazy. They're going from like handheld walking up the steps behind somebody. They like pass this person into the house, into the structure, and then come out the other side, go up. It's like, is this on a crane? Did they move? Was there a handoff from someone who was walking up the stairs and inside to somebody putting it on a crane and then sending it up into the air and going into the next building? It was so cool. And I was like, nobody's going to think anything of this. Like the girlies are not going to think, oh my God, look at the cinematography of this really simple shot here. So I wanted to congratulate the show on doing such a great job. The scene in like part 2 where I think Xiaoshang is walking away, or they're walking away from each other after they've sort of reconciled, but she's like, I'm not going to be with you.
And they're both crying and they kind of like walking in different directions.
They're walking in different directions and they're switching through like a little bit.
Yeah. It is stunning. It is stunning.
Yeah, it is stunning.
That scene, I wrote that in my notes because not only is it a really, really emotionally charged scene, but it's so well shot because when you see her point of view, because they're like facing different directions because they're walking away from each other, but like you're seeing her, and then there's like a little open window where you see
she's
him
passing
through
like,
it.
Every other wind panel is open. So you can see him and then you don't see him.
Yeah. So it's like I love the cinematography in this show. It is still to this day still one of the best shot Chinese dramas that I've watched. It just uses angles in a completely different way to like any other show that I've watched, and they get creative with it. They get it adds to the whole feel of like emotion and everything that goes into making one scene. So yeah, I will say you touched briefly, but I want to touch on the Emperor Wen, Consort Yufei, and Shenan, so the Empress, like their trio.
I watched several Party For You edits of this love triangle, and I will be pressing charges. Okay, this is not okay. You cannot do this to the populace on TikTok. It is not fair emotionally, physically, spiritually to invoke this trio of people and their heartache and their horrible love story.
Talked about. But I still feel like it has to be talked about because
no, go for it. I'm just saying the edits were diabolical.
They are. The thing is, I think it's a very, very interesting like trio of people, because normally when you have an empress and a concubine, they are constantly at each other's throats, constantly trying to one up each other. That's not the case here, but you can't help, no matter the fact that the empress and consort Yufei like each other, they call each other sisters. They are very close. Exactly. But you can see the jealousy, especially from empress. And the thing is, she's not necessarily jealous of Yufei. She's jealous of what Yufei has with Emperor Wen. And I think that's such an important distinction to make.
Yeah.
Because it makes the whole story so much compelling. And the fact that when Empress is dying, the last thing she says to the Emperor is, I hope we don't meet in our next life.
Oh, and very red sleeve.
They went for the jugular.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's understandable because she wants the type of love that he had with Yufei. And she was not afforded that. And they talk about this. They talk about the different types of love. And, Emperor Wen has a type of love with the Empress that is born of marriage and born of duty, whereas with Yufei it's a love born of what's the word I'm looking for, it's a love born of youth. And yeah, so I think I really like them. Do you have any thoughts just on the three of them as a whole?
Definitely defied expectations. I love that the Emperor is very sort of benevolent, very funny, very nice. He is not as intimidating and malicious as other emperors you see in Cdramas, so that's different. Treated Lingui as a son, and those two ladies were very different, totally different personalities. And I loved every time the consort Yue opened her mouth, because she was constantly, everybody was catching a stray. Everybody was catching bullets.
Just like she firing them
about everybody, just airing shit, airing grievances, talking her shit, and I loved it. I loved it. It was so remarkable. And the scene where she finally shows herself in front of Xiaoshang. Xiaoshang has never seen this lady ever, even though the audience has, and she shows up to the it was like funeral. A banquet for the memorial service, and everyone's dressed in white, and she is letting everybody have it, and she's having that like Princess Ru Yang also have it. I was living my best life, and there's so much ferocity to her, and she had so much sway and very little consequence whenever she opened her mouth. And I love that. The Emperor was like, let me just let her do her thing. I'll just let her talk her shit, because I agree with everything. She's going to she's going to speak truth to the situation. So the final scene where you feel so much for the Empress, though.
You do. You
feel entirely too much for the Empress. And when she dies, like, I was crying. It is very emotional. Me too.
That was the scene I was crying at. What about you, Caitlin? What do you think about this little trio? Because I think this trio made the second half more, I think that's what the little more for me was.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if there was competition, I would agree though with the consort Yu. I think the competition was in the Empress's head. Like it
See, I don't think there was a competition. Like,
I don't think there was.
That's what I'm saying.
That there was no competition.
Like, that's what I'm saying, lost. Though. It was in the Empress's head where there was competition. Because
I don't think it was even competition. It's just that she looked at them and it's a different type of love. And she wants that love that is born out of, youth and all of that, rather than the one they kind of have, which is kind of like out of duty, if that makes sense.
Yes. I would say that the way that this situation played out, and this love triangle, it is brutal. One of the worst love triangles I've seen in a long time. It sticks out in my mind. And it almost serves to, downrate or, denigrate the Emperor, because the Emperor is seen as such a like nice, funny figure throughout. He's very lighthearted. But he did this thing, which was marry this lady for gain, for her the resources that her family could afford him when he was winning the empire over. And that's like a conniving reason to marry somebody.
To marry someone, yeah.
Yeah. Which is totally not entirely why he married his primary wife. And it's very complicated. And I love that they introduced that the Emperor has had this entire past where he's basically trapped this lady who wouldn't hurt her fly.
I love her character.
It's so sad. I would love to talk about like a couple scenes that like I will never get over before we get out of here. And it is when Xiaoshang pulls out
oh my god,
the arrow. Listen.
Died.
If I could
dead.
Print out the cells of that scene and like put it up on my wall as a mural, I would, because I love it. Do you guys have thoughts about that scene or any other scene?
That scene lives rent free in my head because it is so well done. It's so tension filled between these two. And it's the fact that string, he wraps it around his wrist and it stays with him forever. And I'm just like, I can't. This is the epic romance that I live for.
Yes, same. I love that scene. This scene where he, oh my God, there's so many. I'm like trying to think of like one that I'm like, this is perfect. Oh, he goes to see her when she's in the palace, and this is the night that she got thrown into the water and was bullied.
Yeah.
So he goes to see her and she's just crying. Like she just starts sobbing and she says, oh, like hug me harder. And he's like doing
too hard. She's too hard. I can't breathe.
I know. And they have like this really intense sexual chemistry moment where she's like, how do I defend myself if somebody pushes me? And he like does like martial arts moves and like they end up on the bed and stuff. I love it. And there's also a similar scene later where he's recovering after he gets beat up. Like they literally beat his ass for not really much of a reason, just so that Xiaoshang can like realize her feelings for him. And she goes to his room and I think they like kiss for the second time or something like that, but is again supercharged moment between them. And she plays the flute. Stop me if I'm getting like too in the weeds here, but there's so many
scenes. I'm surprised you still haven't mentioned your feral Ling Bui moment. Oh my God,
right.
Well, you guys don't have anything. Look, so like the post breakup Ling Bui, be still my heart. Be still my heart. This is my type. This is my type. Okay. This resonated with me deeply on first watch.
Jess has a reel for it.
I do. I'll have to like reshare it or something. I think I have some other videos that I did back in the day when I was doing my first watch of Love Like the Galaxy that I'll put on reels, transfer them over. But Ling Bui post breakup, listen, with the long hair flowing and the facial hair and the scruff and the dirt and the grime, I was like, oh my God, I'm sweating. Like, honestly, it is so hot. And I thought, oh, this is supposed to be, he's in emotional turmoil, right?
Yeah.
No, I thought this was a glow up. I thought, oh, he looks hotter.
He looks hotter.
So, my bad. I didn't read that right. I don't know what they were thinking putting him in that getup. That styling like completely slayed me. I don't know if it hit you guys any type of way. When he came back from the war after 5 years, I was expecting him to keep that styling like for the rest of the show. Didn't happen. They cleaned him up and I was very upset.
I think it just gives him like a rougher edge with like the slight beard to him, the hair. It just gives him a slight edge. Jess is gone off the deep end. Jesus. What about you, Caitlin? Or what moments really kind of stood out for you? And then we can wrap it up.
Well, I mean, I like the arrow scene as we suggested and talked about already. I also, even though it was rushed, it's still one of my favorite moments just because like we've waited so long, but the whole like saving her and the scholar guy and her cousin's wife in the bottom of that like fire pit thing.
Yeah.
I still love it. Granted, obviously, the
they
choice
just
of him
out of like, that little corridor.
Yeah, the whole. I don't know how he figured that out in the 5 seconds they were freaking out of being exploded in that
room. It was
room,
hysterical. The like Deus Ex Machina of it. Yeah, he's like, well, I figured there was an exit down here because she got down here. So I just walked out.
So yeah, like obviously the pacing of that scene did not make sense whatsoever, but I still loved it just because it was like it was kind of the same thing with like what you just said with Jess, and like they beat him to just make her like feel something about him.
Yes.
It's the second beating.
The second beating.
Yeah, it's the second beating.
Of that. But I also just had to laugh because like I forget who was saying it. Someone said something, or at least like thought something. I think it was the woman who was like blowing up the room because she was essentially like the aunt of
oh yeah.
And I think she said it, but it was like it was funny how she was like going on this monologue and is like, he loved you, I want him, like I support him.
There was a lot of
monologuing
in the last few episodes.
Yeah, but like her specifically saying like his wife, like he would never love his wife, he would never like support him, she's a horrible match for him. And then they get out of that room and he like freaks out when he runs in because of his wife, not because of Zhao Lusi's character. And like
I just love how that pregnant lady took a 20-foot fall.
Yeah.
It's still fine.
And was fine.
It's still fine.
Still in labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did, even though it was like, if you really do watch that, it does not make sense whatsoever. I still enjoyed watching that scene.
It's annoying.
I also liked the whole carriage saving scene with the crazy maid. And just because, again, it's like, he literally, for the multiple umpteenth time, just was like, if you die, I'm
dying with you.
Also die. Like it's like
cause
even
effect.
When he went off to war for 5 years, you can tell he wanted to die. Like he was miserable. But really the only reason why he stayed alive in those 5 years is because she didn't die. Like if he had learned that she had died,
full on Romeo and Juliet.
He would have just like sacrificed himself.
Full on Romeo.
Like so I just loved those moments of him just constantly basically just either telling somebody else or constantly just reaffirming to her that she was like the only one he was ever gonna have. Like all the scenes of him telling off that multiple women going after him and being like, she is like the worst choice for you, and he's like, yeah, but you aren't going to be my choice either.
If it's like, not her, it's no one.
Single. Yeah,
but it's also the fact.
Single.
It's also the fact that he throws at them. Look, even if she wasn't here, I wouldn't pick you. And it's just like, it's those types of things. I'm just like, ooh, burn. That burns even worse.
Right. Yeah. But, and then also going back to like the trio, the Empress and the consort, and I liked how they supported their relationship. Even when I say their relationship, the two leads' relationships and the different ways they went about supporting the whole thing. Like the scene where the Emperor did set up Liu Wu's character to be beaten, and they're watching from the tower just having this conversation, and the consort knows exactly why he did it and like is kind of making fun of it, and the Empress has no idea like why he did it, but then realizes why he did it and like calls him a stupid person, and is actually mad about it. But like that whole concept of him making this scene so she would realize, and like that's them supporting their relationship. And they were like there were other parental figures to both of the leads. So I always liked that relationship going through the drama as well.
The Emperor was their number one fan. Like Emperor was absolutely their number one fan.
I think the minute he saw that Liu Wu had somebody in his head, like the fact that he liked somebody, he was going to support that no matter what. Because that was like, oh my God, he's not thinking about war and he's actually caring about somebody else. Like this is a big deal.
Guys, we could talk about this for another 2 hours, but I think we're gonna leave it here because we've been recording for a while and I think we've touched on so many aspects already. So that is it. That is the Drama Trio's review of Love Like the Galaxy.
Yay!
I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you so much as always. And we shall catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.